Good evening. My name is Jessica Workman. I'm a senior here at the university. I'm a psychology major with minors in criminal justice and law and the liberal arts. And this summer, I had the opportunity to work in my hometown of Wilson, North Carolina, with our local police department's victim assistance program. Wilson, North Carolina is a small town about 2.5 hours south of Richmond off of 95. And the victim assistance program with our local police department is designed to aid those who have been the target of a violent crime, such as rape, robbery, assault, or kidnapping. Prior to the 1980s, the criminal justice system was primarily dedicated to protecting the rights of perpetrators during the course of criminal justice procedures, and all but ignored the rights of crime victims. As a result of this imbalance, law enforcement agencies across the country created programs to protect the rights of innocent victims. Over the years, these programs have become vital components of the criminal justice system by helping victims to gain access to the support services that can aid them in their overall recovery from violent crime victimization. Since 1986, the North Carolina Victim Assistance Network has worked to make both law enforcement agencies and private individuals aware of the rights of victims of violent crime, including compensation for medical expenses and access to state-funded counseling. The process of claiming these benefits, however, involved a great deal of paperwork and familiarity with the departments involved. So local law enforcement agencies began to hire victim assistance coordinators to serve as liaisons between the victims of crime and the Department of Crime Control and Public Safety, which houses the Crime Victims Compensation Commission. My internship supervisor, Ms. Shannon Nichols, was hired by the Wilson Police Department in the early 1990s and has served as the Victim Assistance Coordinator since then, making her incredibly knowledgeable about all relevant processes and procedures involved in the victim compensation procedures, and an excellent teacher for someone like myself who is interested in pursuing a career in victim assistance. When a violent crime is committed in North Carolina, the local victim assistance program will contact the victims by mail to make them aware of their rights and invite them to come into the office to discuss accessing the benefits available to them. When she began working at the Wilson Police Department, Ms. Nichols created a brochure to send to victims relaying some basic information regarding the victims assistance program. Since that time, however, she had only made some very small changes to the brochure. This summer, I decided to redesign the brochure as part of my contribution to the department. Over the course of my 10 weeks with the police department, I was able to create what I hoped would be a more easily navigable guide to the services that the Victim Assistance Program provides to victims of crimes that occur within the city limits of Wilson. Overall, I was very proud of the new brochure that I was able to provide the program with. The design is very clean-cut and easy to follow, and after it is professionally printed, it will include a perforated panel that victims can mail back in to indicate their interest in receiving more information about the benefits and services available to them. If you would like to view the brochure, it is available on this poster after the presentation for you to see and ask me any questions about. In addition to the redesigned brochure, I also noticed within the first few weeks of my internship that there was an overwhelming need for a Spanish language brochure for Hispanic victims. Hispanic victims are eligible to receive victim assistance benefits regardless of their immigration status, but the vast majority of state and local informational materials are only printed in English. This often deters Spanish-speaking victims from seeking compensation and benefits because after receiving an English language letter and brochure following their victimization, they form the impression that the police won't accommodate their communication needs. I do not speak Spanish, I speak French, but my younger brother is fluent. So I made arrangements with my supervisor for Nick to translate our victim notification letter and redesigned English language brochure into Spanish in exchange for community service hours at his high school. I personally feel that arranging for the brochure to be translated was the most important contribution I made to the Victim Assistance Program this summer. There is a very large Spanish-speaking population in North Carolina, and in Wilson in particular, due to the tobacco and other agricultural industries present. But this population has only permanently settled in our community within the last 20 years, making it difficult for local businesses and service industries to accommodate the demand for Spanish language services. According to the Southern Rural Development Center, Wilson County's Hispanic population grew from 0.8% to 9.2% between the years of 1990 and 2009. I think that the lack of Spanish language resources in the area also has to deal with deficits in local education. For example, Wilson County Public Schools only require 2 semesters of a foreign language for graduation. That, combined with the fact that as of 2009, only 32% of our population aged 25 or older had completed high school, makes it easier to understand why there are such limited resources for Spanish-speaking victims. Of the people in our community who have completed high school, most of those aren't fluent in Spanish, and the Hispanic population has increased too quickly for non-Hispanics to keep up with the demand for Spanish-speaking services. In addition to my daily office duties, which included contacting victims and discussing their service options, I assembled a book that contained a listing of local service agencies to be distributed to police officers in order for them to be able to provide appropriate referrals to crime victims. The Community Resource Manual, as it came to be called, was once a folder containing several sheets of paper of outdated agency contact information, but I was able to make it into an electronic document that can be updated at any time, as well as printed and distributed to new officers. I believe that this was an important addition to the materials provided to new officers because it is something that they can keep in their patrol cars and quickly give the correct contact information for appropriate service agency referrals to victims in need. This resource manual is actually also beside the poster over here. Before the summer was over, I had already had the occasion to reference the Community Resource Manual twice. In one instance, I was working with a victim that we'll call Molly for the sake of anonymity. She was a woman who had been sexually assaulted by a stranger who had broken into her home while she and her children slept. Molly decided that she needed to relocate her family out of state. She did not feel safe in her home or in her community, and she was being intimidated by the offender's friends and family as her case moved closer and closer to her court date. Molly's fear was real, and the fact that I was able to help her by getting her the resources that she needed and the support and counseling services that she needed will be an experience that I will never forget. She was grateful for the assistance that I was able to provide her in her time of need, and the experience overall reinforced my desire to work in victim assistance in the future. I am very thankful to have had the opportunity to work with the Victim Assistance Program at the Wilson Police Department this summer. I learned a great deal from my supervisor and was able to be incredibly hands-on with all of the cases that passed through our office. I am proud to have been able to contribute the English and Spanish language versions of the brochure, as well as the Spanish language notification letter and the Community Resource Manual to the Victim Assistance Program. I truly feel that my work this summer made a positive impact on my community, and I couldn't have asked for a more fulfilling and rewarding experience. Thank you.